President Donald Trump is warning us about spy tactics that have been previously used against him. But breaking news, guys, Iran just declared war on Israel. Now, this is bad news, okay? The IDF strikes Hezbollah military complex in Lebanon. Iran launched drones toward Israel on Saturday evening today in retaliation to the Israel military. So the Israel Defense Forces, also known as the IDF, states that these unmanned aerial vehicles, they were launched from within Iran. Now, before we really get into today's video, guys, all I ask is that you take 1 second, hit the like button for the video. All I can say is thank you guys so much for being so supportive of the channel. I really appreciate you guys sharing these videos and for subscribing and for, turning on the notification bell and all that good YouTube-y stuff. I really appreciate you guys. We've got Scabies, we've got Montaigne Farrar, we've got Manya Business in here, we've got Edmund and British Gray. What's going on, everyone? We have a lot to cover today. Let's not waste any time. So former President Donald Trump is warning us about spy tactics that have been used previously against him. So the reauthorization of FISA, or FISA, it's now being seen as a very controversial topic. Now, despite this, the director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, he's pushing to keep this law intact. Now, as far as we know, this law could possibly remain in place for at least the next 2 years, given that, it passed recently in the House of Representatives. However, it has created massive waves within both parties. So Donald Trump, he argues that this was used against him, and it could very well be used against any American citizen if those in power feel like it's necessary. And this is exactly why Americans are pissed, because they're looking at these different cases that Donald Trump is dealing with, and they're like, hey, if they just decided to attack the average American, number one, most people wouldn't even know that this was going on. But number two, the average American wouldn't even have the resources to attempt to fight back at the system. So what do you guys think? Is the system broken? Is the system just being used as a method of lawfare to attack and single out an individual? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Now, many people fear that it would essentially remove our right to privacy, and instead it would create a world where everything that we do would be under surveillance. Cameras everywhere, phones being tapped without warrants. Now, Christopher Wray, FBI Director Christopher Wray, warns that there's just too many threats to our country right now that having an important section of FISA removed or even restricted will be basically too much of a national risk. So let's just go ahead and keep this in play, is what he's saying. One of the biggest concerns here is that this gives them the power to conduct warrantless surveillance. Now, you guys have seen, what was that movie with Will Smith back in the day? Enemy of the State. So imagine Enemy of the State with Will Smith in 2024, but like 100 times worse.
19 Republicans crossed the aisle to vote with Democrats to kill the procedural vote that would have begun debate as to whether FISA, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, would be reauthorized. That is, of course, the law that allows the government to spy on American citizens without getting a warrant.
This was a direct rebuke of Speaker Mike Johnson, who supports FISA and vowed to bring the amendment to the floor for a vote. Let's listen to what he had to say.
When I was a member of the judiciary, I saw the abuses of the FBI, the terrible abuses over and over and over, the hundreds of thousands of abuses. And then when I became speaker, I went to the SCIF and got the confidential briefing from sort of the other perspective on that to understand the necessity of Section 702 of FISA and how important it is for national security. And it gave me a different perspective. So I encourage all the members to go to the classified briefing and hear all that and see it so they can evaluate the situation for themselves. And I think some opinions have changed both ways, but that's part of the process. You got to be fully informed.
Wow. So, so we're not really sure what Mike Johnson saw or heard in that very sensitive, compartmentalized information facility, or SCIF, but it must have been something pretty huge in order to get him to change his mind. Now, some lawmakers believe that Mike Johnson's possibly being persuaded through half-truths and whole lies. What do you guys think? Do you think that Mike Johnson's been compromised? Do you think that House Speaker Mike Johnson is possibly being bribed or even threatened? Let me know what you guys think on that in the comments down below. Either that, or he's just working hand in hand with the Biden administration at this point. But here you have Republican Representative Thomas Massey saying that these SCIFs can be likened to a haunted house. And so this is where he says that Mike Johnson was taken he was basically taken to scare him enough to go with his FISA plan. So now, what is the merit of this warrantless surveillance, right? Well, the FBI argues that getting a warrant takes time. And when it comes to national security, they claim that there's not much time to waste. The problem is that there are many that are pushing for an exception called exigent circumstances. And right. So what this means is that if the FBI is under the impression that a threat is imminent, well, they can just pretty much ignore the whole warrant part of the process. And this gives them a license to invade in your privacy. Yeah, just like I said, with enemy of the state, it would be 100 times worse with the advancements in technology that we have here in 2024. And we could even argue that they can claim on this exception every time, even if it doesn't necessarily meet the need. Basically, it just gives them a license to do whatever they want, whenever they want, without court approval, without warrants. And it also just kind of shows the importance of the next 2 years, as it is possible that the FBI will be required to report which incidents that they saw to be worthy of warrantless surveillance. Now, this also means that either Trump or Biden will be either Trump or Biden would be in power once FISA expires, right? So this means that one of them could either add exceptions into it, or they could permanently keep it out of place or keep it in place, either or. So Donald Trump, though, during his term, reauthorized FISA. However, it might be different within the next 2 years, since he's now telling Republicans that it needs to be killed. And I think Donald Trump's perspective on this changed dramatically after or at least according to Donald Trump, they used these spy tactics on him. But you have to wonder if the FBI has, in fact, thwarted terrorist activities through FISA. Is it really helping us, or is it being used against us? I'm going to leave that to you guys. Now, I'm pretty sure that they're not going to tell us that, because it's classified information, although it would probably help to kind of ease the minds of the American people like me and you, right? Now, the Biden administration, they have tried to reassure us that it is being used responsibly. Of course, they're going to say that, right? They're not going to out themselves. And it's supposedly an important tool, not just to stop terrorist attacks, but also to deter cybercrime and international drug trade. Now, we could also argue that Section 702 is mostly for monitoring foreign terrorist groups and criminal organizations, although the federal government has yet to slow down the entry of these potential threats and criminals in through our borders. So what's really going on here is what a lot of people are asking. In fact, many critics are now arguing that we continue to, let in complete strangers illegally into our country, primarily through the southern border. But meanwhile, the FBI is much more concerned about how we can spy on American people. So is this section of the bill really to help keep threats out of the United States, or is it a license for them to have more access and basically blur the lines to invade our privacy even further in an ultimate effort for more control over the American people? Because if you are really concerned about threats coming into America, threats within America, the first thing you would do if you had half a brain would be to seal off the southern border, which it's literally a joke at this point. Because Section 702 provides law enforcement agencies with the power to surveil Americans who are messaging with people abroad. Now, here's the kicker here. Documents from the FISA, from the FISA court, have shown that the FBI used Section 702 improperly. So the FBI has already been called out by court systems for improperly using Section 702. So this, to me, sounds like it's probably been abused. Between 2020 and 2021, it's been said that this section was used almost 300,000 times. Not to mention, not to spy on foreign threats or anything like that. It was used to target, guess what? January 6 suspects, racial justice protesters, and many other American citizens. So kind of like Donald Trump said, hey, they're using this against him and they're using this against the American people. Meanwhile, we're getting reports of terrorists entering our country. Get this. A man who's actually on the terrorist watch list was released into the United States. They weren't outright arrested. They were let go and allowed into San Antonio, Texas. So this guy is a member of an Afghan terror group, and he illegally entered our country last year. He was able to apply for a job and even boarded domestic flights here in America, right here in the United States. And after almost a year, he was finally arrested through ICE with withheld classified information about his ties and whatnot. The judge then ordered his release on, get this, guys, a $12,000 bond, which he quickly posted. Now, here you have someone who is on the terror watch list who was released on a $12,000 bond. Yet you have Donald Trump getting hemmed up with a $450, almost $500 million bond in New York City for a crime with no victims. Please tell me what the logic is here. You have one guy who has lives at risk with a $12,000 bond. You have another guy with no victims, no lives at risk. You give him a $450 million bond. Please, in the comment section, tell me, how does this make any sense whatsoever? The math just ain't mathing. So this makes you wonder if there are more of them that have entered our country in this manner, right? Which raises the argument that the FBI is focusing on something that's just completely unnecessary. The FBI, it makes you just kind of question, what is the FBI's real goal here? Now, some people say that this is because they feel as if we are the threats. Americans who want to reclaim our country, who don't want America going down the way that it's been going. Some people are saying that we are the threats. But what do you guys think? Do you think that this warrantless surveillance could be justified in our country? And do you still feel safe inside the United States? Let me know what y'all think on that one. Now, Israeli officials reported that it could be many hours before the drones that were released or sent from Iran actually reach Israeli airspace. Now, alerts started to sound across Israel close to 2 a.m. local time, according to the IDF. Alarms went off in southern Israel by the Dead Sea in Jerusalem and the Shaman area. Now, the IDF has heightened its alert status and is actively monitoring the situation with its aerial defense systems, including the IAF fighter jets and Navy vessels prepared in Israeli airspace. The drones are now expected to take several hours to reach Israeli airspace, with alerts sounding across Israel around 2 a.m. local time. Alarms were particularly noted in southern Israel, the Dead Sea area, Jerusalem, and the Shamron region. Additionally, U.S. forces in the region have intercepted some of these drones, as reported by U.S. officials. The national security spokesperson, Adrian Watson, already confirmed that this airborne assault by Iran was a response to an Israeli attack on April 1st against an Iranian consulate in Damascus, which resulted in the deaths of several Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps members. Now, in anticipation of this particular attack, President Biden returned to the White House on Saturday. He's being regularly updated by his national security team, and plans to meet with them to discuss the ongoing situation. Now, what's really interesting here is that it wasn't, but I don't even know if it was a whole week since President Biden essentially warned Iran, or I don't know if it was a warning or a threat, but basically warned at a minimum Iran not to attack Israel. And this is the kind of response that we're seeing. Do you think that Iran would have had the balls to attack or to issue these drones toward Israel if Donald Trump was the current president of the United States? Or is President Biden just looking like a weak leader and people don't respect him as the president of the United States? Maybe people just, they don't have any respect for President Biden. What do you guys think on that? Now, the United States administration has reiterated its strong support for Israel's security and its commitment to stand with Israel against threats from Iran. So this is clearly a developing story. It's a developing situation, and I'm a little bit concerned because there's a lot of lives at risk here. There's a lot of lives at risk on both sides, and I got a feeling that the United States is going to get pulled in a lot more into this. So that is just a little bit concerning. Likely the United States is going to be dumping more money into toward supporting Israel. This is more taxpayer money that is leaving the country when we need support here at home as well. So what do you guys think? Should we send more money to Israel? Should we keep the money here at home and address local issues? What do you guys think? Let me jump up in the comments and see what you guys are saying. We got Seeking His Face 777. What's going on? We've got Brenda Hennessy. Let's see. So Brenda says, I heard last night that the warships were sent over toward Israel to protect Israel. Got you. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for the support, Blue Mountain Cowgirl. Hit the like button if you love Trump. Nice. So Adam Bolio says, keep the money here. Let's see. We got Mary Oakleberry. Do you know anyone who respects Biden? That's a very good question. Lenora Cook from South Carolina. What's going on? We got Catalia here. I know you're always here, Catalia. I appreciate you. Catalia never misses a live. Let's see. James Reinerston says, we need Trump now more than ever. What do you guys think about this? Do we need Trump now more than ever? Let me know in the comment section down below. Montaigne Farrar says we need the money here. Yeah, I think a lot of people believe that the United States needs the money here first. Yeah, Chris Young says hate communist California. Yeah, California is headed downhill along with New York and several other states that are just horribly managed. Mad Dogs Forge says, I live in communist Michigan. Wow. It's wild here. What's going on? Beverly Kennedy. Karen Perkins says, close the border and massive deportation. What do you guys think about that? I mean, you guys heard Donald Trump essentially say that if he ends up being elected president of the United States in 2024, excuse me, what did I say? 2024? How many 20s is there, right? I believe Donald Trump said that we would see one of the greatest deportations in American history if he's elected as the president of the United States. So expect some change. All I can say is expect some change if Donald Trump ends up winning that election. If you guys haven't already, do hit the like button for the video. Definitely share this video on Facebook and Twitter. I can't wait to jump back on here again with you guys very, very soon. And you guys be safe. Take care.